Welcome back, after a very long break, to this solo playthrough of the Dungeons & Dragons classic Lost Mine of Phandelver. This is episode 7, in which our party is surprised by an apparent change of heart as they ready themselves to make the journey into Cragmaw Castle, and then discover the dangers lying in wait for them in Neverwinter Woods. I hope you enjoy it. Please do let me know in the comments. Also, consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode. Last time, our party discovered the true identity of Iano Albrecht, the wizard they had been seeking at the request of Sildar Hellwinter. It was revealed that he was also Glassstaff, the leader of the Redbrand gang. Despite the others hoping to take him prisoner, the halfling Merrick, a former Redbrand gang member, dispatched Glassstaff with a deadly arrow. The party then cleared out the rest of the thugs from the Redbrand hideout and rescued the Dendrar family, who were being held in the cells. They also rescued a goblin named Droop, a servant of some bugbears in the hideout who were working for the mysterious Black Spider. We rejoin our party just as Merrick has announced that he's leaving the group having achieved what he came for in Phandalin. The group watches aghast as Merrick stalks away down the track heading towards the Phandalin Miners' Exchange. "Well, good riddance to him," says Valanthe. "Never have I seen such a poor team player." "Yes, and I can't believe that after we've all helped him, now he's not going to help us in Cragmaw Castle," agrees Torga. "But what we need is lockpicking skills," says Vandross. It's at this point that they realise that Mina Dendrar and her 2 children are still with them. Mina speaks. "Thank you so much again for saving us. I think we'll be okay though now. Tablet at the Stonehill Inn will look after us." And she and the 2 teenagers head off towards the inn. Torga, Valanthe and Vandross, with Droop tagging along behind, head over to the Townmaster's Hall in search of Sildar. The Townmaster's Hall is a sturdy stone building with a pitched wooden roof and a bell tower at the back. They push open the large wooden door and enter a room which is clearly decorated to represent some status or officialdom. There is dark panelling on the walls, a large fireplace, and heavy wooden furniture. However, it's all a bit shabby. Sildar is there talking to a fat, pompous-looking man in his 50s. He is sat rather snugly in a large leather chair behind an ornate wooden desk. Sildar gets up. "Oh, good. Harbin, this is the group of adventurers I was telling you about." Harbin greets the party, and they relate the recent events in the Redbrand hideout, and reveal to Sildar that his friend and colleague, Iano Albrecht, was in fact Glassstaff, the leader of the Redbrands. Sildar shakes his head. "Iano? Glassstaff? No, I don't believe it." "It's true," says Torga. "We have evidence. We found a letter in Glassstaff's room, addressed to Lord Albrecht, from the Black Spider, advising that we should be killed if we interfered with their plans. He was clearly in league with this villain." "And where is this Albrecht now?" asks Harbin. "Can we question him for further information?" "I'm afraid he died in the battle," says Vandross. "So, we still don't know the location of this Wave Echo cave?" asks Sildar. His face is white, and he's clearly still in shock from the news. "Well, I may be able to help with that," says Valanthe. She explains that she sent her familiar, an owl, to follow the 2 bugbears who were returning to the Black Spider in the Wave Echo cave. "It may take a while, but once my owl returns, he should be able to lead us there." "Well, that's something," says Sildar. Well, says Harbin importantly. "Let's not be downhearted. This is great news that the town has been rid of the Redbrand gang. I always knew that my call for adventurers to come and help with this would be answered." Harbin is pompously effusive about the fact that they have dealt with the Redbrands, and almost trying to take credit for it. The 3 of them glance at each other, knowing that he had just been trying to ignore the problem. He continues, "And such a skilled group can help me with the important job of routing the orc squatters from Wyvern Tor. I'll pay you well if you can take care of that problem." "Squatters?" says Valanthe. "Do you mean you own the land they are living on?" "Well, no," splutters Harbin. "But they have no right to be living so close to Phandalin." "Well, they have as much right to settle in this area as humans do," replies Valanthe. "So I think we'll decline your job offer." Harbin's colour is rising. Valanthe's reply has clearly confused and angered him. "What are you implying? How dare you?" Sildar steps in to try to defuse the situation. "Okay, Harbin, the priority right now is to rescue Gunther from Cragmaw Castle. I think this party is very well equipped to do that." "Oh yes," agrees Torga. "We should set off straight away to find Cousin Gundren." "Well, I'd like to get to a blacksmith and see if I can get some better armour," says Vandross. Well, I think we should spend the afternoon preparing, says Valanthe. It looks like we'll need to camp out, as it's going to be a bit of a journey to get there, so we'll need to get supplies. At this point, Droop pipes up.
I can do the cooking for you. You can leave all the food supplies to me, and I can clean up and fix things too.
You want to come with us, says Torga.
Oh yes, please. I have you to protect me now,
he says as he gazes up at Torga. Harbin splutters again as he spots the goblin for the first time. What is that thing you have brought into my office? Oh, this is Droop, replies Torga. We rescued him from the Red Brand hideout. But he's a goblin. Never ever trust a goblin. Nasty, brutish, thieving little creatures. Get him out of here. Droop stares down at his feet in shame.
Oh,
he says as he reaches for Torga's hand. Come on, says Torga. I think we're done here. Agreed, says Valanthe, and they leave the townmaster's office. The three of them head back out into the town to prepare for the journey to Cragmaw Castle. As soon as he leaves the group, Merrick makes his way down to the miners' exchange. He finds Harlia Thornton inside the building, paying out some gold to a miner who has just brought some ore in. Ara, you are back so soon. Good news, I hope. Yep, we've taken out Glassstaff, the Red Brand leader, as well as all the gang members we found in the hideout. Merrick then pulls the letter out of his pocket and hands it over to Harlia. I found this on Glassstaff's desk. It's a letter from the Black Spider. Good. Good, this is excellent. I'm very impressed. She opens the strongbox and pays Merrick out the promised reward of 100 gold. Thanks very much, says Merrick, and he pockets the pouch of gold. Harlia considers as she looks at Merrick. Are you looking for more work, then? Oh, yes, says Merrick. He's always keen to earn more cash. Well, I work for a secret organization that is getting more power in this region. We could do with someone ambitious and skilled like you. Harlia's words clearly get Merrick's attention. The thought of being connected with a powerful organization is appealing to him. If you can demonstrate your usefulness further, I could put a word in to recommend you to join us. Oh yes, I'd be very interested in that, he says. Good, she says. She peruses the letter further. She considers, I would like to find out more about this Black Spider. Oh, apparently they're in the Wave Echo Cave, trying to track down a magical place called a Forge of Souls. Oh really? That is very interesting. I think the gentleman needs to know more about this. I want you to track this Black Spider down in the Wave Echo Cave, and give him a letter for me. Oh, but I don't know where the cave is. Well, a resourceful young man like you shouldn't have any trouble in finding that out. Merrick looks at her in silence for a moment, realizing his only means to find the cave is with the party he has just left. Is there a problem? Harlia asks. Oh no, consider it done. He waits while Harlia pens a short letter, and then seals it with wax. And no peeking at the letter. I will know if you do, and there will be trouble. Okay then, says Merrick. He takes the letter and leaves. He then heads out down the path to return to his auntie's house, hoping he'll be there in time for lunch. Meanwhile, Valanthe's familiar, a small owl, has been following the two bugbears far into the mountains east of Phandalin as they head towards the Wave Echo Cave to alert the Black Spider about the intruders into the Red Brand hideout. The owl flaps silently along behind the two creatures as they make their way up the steep track through rocky crags. So we roll a stealth check. The owl gets 17. The bugbear's passive perception is only 10, so they do not see the owl following them. The party of now 3 adventurers returns to the Stonehill Inn for some lunch and a short rest. Torga regains 3 hit points, as does Valanthe. Vandross regains 4. They then spend the rest of the afternoon shopping for equipment and supplies for their journey to Cragmaw Castle. Vandross goes to Lion Shield Costa, a branch of the large trading company who sell basic weapons and armour. He now has enough gold to buy himself a chain shirt. He also sells his old greatsword. Torga and Valanthe, with Droop tagging along behind, buy rations and camping equipment. Torga asks if they can get healing potions, but is told there are none available in Phandalin. Finally, Valanthe also purchases parchment and ink to transcribe a spell scroll she found in Glassstaff's quarters into her spellbook. They then return to the Stonehill Inn for the night. Vandross decides to also stay at the inn this time. Meanwhile, Valanthe's familiar has been continuing to follow the bugbears to the entrance to Wave Echo Cave. By sunset, they eventually reach the cave mouth. The owl alights on a rock, and watches them approach the yawning cave entrance. This time, we roll a 21 for stealth, so the owl still remains undetected by the bugbears. They head into the cave unaware that they have been followed all the way. Having been shown the location of the cave, the tiny owl then retraces the route back down to Phandalin. It returns to Volanthe during the night. At breakfast the next morning, Volanthe tells the others that her owl familiar was successful in following the bugbears and will be able to lead them to the entrance of Wave Echo Cave. "Oh, that's great news," says Torga. "We'll soon have Gundren back, and then we'll be able to go and reclaim the cave for him." After breakfast, the three adventurers, followed by Droop, heave on their backpacks and head out of the Stonehill Inn. To their surprise, they see Merrick sitting on the wall outside of the inn. He jumps up as they approach.
"Oh, hi everyone! How are we all doing this morning? Ready for the trip to Cragmaw Castle?"
"What?" says Torga. "What are you doing here? Yesterday you told us you were done, that you were leaving."
"Oh no, don't be silly. That's not what I meant at all. I just meant I was finished for the day, like. I wanted to get off and see my auntie. She lives just down the road."
Volanthe gives Merrick a cold stare as he continues.
"Of course we're not finished. We have to go to the castle, don't we? To rescue Gundren and find his map that shows the entrance to the cave."
They all look at Merrick, dumbfounded and confused, trying to remember his exact words from the previous day. Volanthe rolls an insight check of 15. Merrick rolls a deception check of 25. Volanthe is sure that he's lying, but she can't remember clearly what he said yesterday. Maybe they were all mistaken. Or does he have some ulterior motive for rejoining them? "I don't know what game you're playing, Merrick, but I don't trust you. I think we're better off without you." Merrick looks up at Volanthe, but finds it difficult to meet her gaze. So he turns to look at Torga and Vandross to appeal to them. At this point, Sildar comes out of the Stonehill Inn and spots Merrick. "Oh, I see the fourth party member has returned. That's good to see. You're going to need all the help you can get in Cragmaw Castle. Anyway, I'm off to talk to Harbin. I hope it all goes well, and we'll see you back with Gundren very soon." And with that, he heads off to the Townmaster's office. Volanthe, Torga and Vandross turn to look at each other. So ask the question, do the party agree to let Merrick rejoin them? We roll a 12. This is yes, but. Torga says,
"Well, despite my reservations, Sildar is right. We do need all the help we can get at the castle. We need to make sure that our rescue of Gundren is a success."
Then Vandross says, "And Merrick is the only one with any skill at lockpicking. That could be important." Volanthe is silent for a moment. "All right. I will agree to you continuing with us, Merrick. But there are going to be some conditions. First of all, you will not touch any loot, you hear? We will give you your fair share, but you must not take anything for yourself."
"Oh yes," says Torga. "Droop will be carrying all the things for us, so he can look after the loot."
"Oh, yes,"
says Droop.
"I'm very good at carrying and looking after things."
Merrick stares at Droop.
"Him? You want to give loot to a goblin? You're not serious?"
"Yes," says Volanthe, "I'm very serious. Also, you must stay with us now until we have completed everything we have committed to."
"And please stop dying too," says Torga. "I can't keep reviving you all the time." All right, says Merrick. "If that's the way it's going to be, I agree. Now, hadn't we better get off to this castle before it gets too late?"
The party heads down the cart track back towards the tribal trail, travelling north towards Cragmaw Castle, which they've been told is in Neverwinter Woods, on the far side of the trail. We roll for a weather check, and we get a 5. Despite it being July, it is a rather cool, overcast day. A heavy mist hangs over the hills, and a steady drizzle dampens their clothes, as well as their spirits. Their boots squelch in the mud of the cart track as they head down the hill from Phandalin. After a couple of hours, they reach the main track of the tribal trail, and turn right to start heading uphill again towards the town of Conyberry. As they progress along this track, Vandross starts looking out for a smaller path that will lead them north towards the castle. He rolls a survival check of 15. Presently, he spots a path that is little wider than a sheep track, although it has been clearly worn by the passage of feet, and can see the dense Neverwinter Woods in the distance ahead of them. Now they are off the main trail, there is a chance for them to be attacked by wandering monsters. We will roll a d20 each time they enter a new hex, and if the result is 17 or more, there is an encounter. For our first hex across the open fields, we roll an 8, so this part of the journey is uneventful. After another hour up this path, they stop for lunch. It is raining more heavily now, so they lay out one of the tent tarpaulins under a tree, and eat their lunch in a very soggy spot. After a further few hours, the afternoon is wearing on as they approach the Neverwinter Woods. The trees become more numerous, and a dense undergrowth blocks their sight of the wider area. So we roll again for an encounter, and this time we get a 20. Then we roll on the encounter table to discover what kind of monster this is, and we get a 4. Vandross is in the lead, and is keeping a lookout, followed by Torga, then Valanthe and Merrick. All of a sudden, the quiet stillness of the forest is broken by a loud crashing sound, branches snapping and foliage rustling. The adventurers look up just in time to see a massive figure charging through the trees towards them. It's an ogre, a hulking, brutish creature with sharp tusks protruding from its lower jaw and rough, mottled skin covered in scars from countless battles. It brandishes a heavy club in one hand and a crude javelin in the other as it barrels towards them. Fortunately, with Vandross keeping a lookout and the noise in the trees, the party have a few moments to ready themselves for battle. The ogre roars,
"Food! Me want dinner!"
as he charges towards them, and he particularly has his eyes on Torga. So we roll for initiative. The ogre takes the lead, and he hurls his massive javelin towards Torga as he charges forward. The weapon cuts through the air with a sharp whistle. But Torga, quick on her feet, pivots just in time. The javelin sails past her, missing her by mere inches, its point thudding harmlessly into the muddy ground behind her. Merrick swiftly darts to the side, moving out of the direct line of the ogre's charge. His short bow is drawn back in an instant, and with a quick release, the arrow flies towards the massive beast. But as the ogre continues to charge, the moving target proves difficult to hit. The arrow veers wide, only grazing its tough hide armor with a dull thud. Merrick quickly vanishes into the undergrowth, using his nimble frame and expert stealth to blend into the surrounding foliage. Still beyond melee range, Torga raises her hands to the sky, calling upon the power of her divine magic. With a flash of radiant energy, she releases a bolt of brilliant light that streaks through the air. The bolt strikes the ogre square in the chest, exploding in a burst of holy fire that causes the beast to howl in pain. The ogre stumbles back slightly, the radiant energy searing through its tough hide, leaving a faint shimmery glow around its form, which makes it a bit easier to hit. Valanthe quickly steps aside, ensuring she is out of the ogre's immediate path, and with a flick of her wrist she conjures 3 shimmering darts of arcane energy. The missiles whirl through the air, striking the ogre with pinpoint accuracy. Each missile hits the creature, slamming into it each time with an explosion of purple light. Then Vandross decides to be the hero, and he rushes forwards towards the ogre, a sword in each hand. He raises talon and slashes the blade down with precision, the sharp edge cutting through the air and striking the ogre with a solid thud. Without missing a beat, Vandross follows up with a swift second strike, his long sword slashing forward and grazing the ogre's thick hide with a resounding crack. The ogre roars with fury, its voice echoing through the air.
"Get off me, human! I want tasty dwarf!"
With a thunderous swing, the ogre raises a massive great club and brings it crashing down. The club slams into Vandross with a heavy blow, the sheer force of the strike sending shockwaves through his body. The force of the blow leaves him shaken, his health dangerously low, but he grits his teeth and refuses to fall. In a bid to prove his worth to the party, Merrick creeps in behind the ogre, wielding his 2 short swords. With a swift and precise motion, he strikes with his main hand, his sword sinking deep into the ogre's side. The ogre roars in pain, the wound clearly taking its toll, its focus momentarily distracted by the unexpected assault from behind. Merrick tries to follow up with a second strike, his offhand sword aimed at the ogre's exposed flank, but his attack goes wide, the blade missing its mark. Torga, seeing Vandross in trouble, rushes forward with determination. She raises her holy symbol high, and with a prayer she casts Shield of Faith, surrounding Vandross in a shimmering protective aura. She then attempts to attack with her warhammer. She swings with all her might, but in the heat of the moment the warhammer slips from her grasp and she completely misses. Valanthe then casts Ray of Frost, but as the spell shoots from her outstretched fingers, the ogre's erratic movements cause her aim to waver. The beam of frost whizzes past the ogre's ear, narrowly missing, and instead splatters against the bark of a nearby tree. Vandross, feeling the lingering pain from the ogre's brutal strike, takes a deep breath and channels his inner strength. His body feels a surge of vitality from his second wind, but the relief is slight as he only gains 3 hit points. Without hesitation, Vandross then grips Talon tightly and slashes at the ogre with fierce determination. The blade cuts through the air with precision, landing a solid hit on the ogre's side. The ogre is badly wounded now, and he's flailing his club about wildly.
He smashes it into Torga with a resounding crack, the impact jarring her entire body as she is knocked backward by the sheer force of the strike. With two of the party now looking quite wounded, Merrick attempts to finish the ogre off. He positions himself carefully, taking advantage of the ogre's distracted state, and he strikes with a quick thrust. And with the extra damage from the sneak attack, he lands the final blow. The ogre starts to stumble and sway. "Watch out!" cries Torga. "He's coming down!" The ogre teeters and then falls. With a loud, bone-jarring crash, the ogre's body thuds to the ground in the midst of the party. "Phew, that was a bit close," says Torga. "Yeah," says Vandross, "that was getting dangerous." Torga and Vandross move away to find somewhere to rest. Merrick instinctively goes to the ogre's body to search for loot. "No," says Valanthe, "you agreed not to touch any loot." "Oh yeah, I forgot," he says, and he slinks away. Droop emerges from where he's been hiding behind a tree and starts searching over the body. So we're all for loot, and Droop finds 13 gold pieces on the ogre.
Oh, look, gold,
says Droop. "Oh, great! How much?" says Torga. Droop holds out his hands.
Two handfuls.
With the ogre downed, they stop for a short rest. Torga regains 3 hit points, and Vandross 9. Having rested, the group continues, looking for a place to camp before they get into the depths of the forest. Vandross rolls a survival check of 9. They find a bit of a clearing in the trees next to the path. It is very soggy, and not the best place to camp for the night. However, it's now almost sunset, and they need to get their tents pitched. Once they have set up camp and lit a fire, Droop does some cooking. He prepares a stew of beef jerky and carrots. Merrick wrinkles his nose as he tastes the first spoonful, expecting it to be bad. He looks at Droop.
Not bad, actually.
The party then turns in for the night. Valanthe takes the first 4-hour watch, and then Droop the second. So we roll the dice to check if there's an encounter in the night. I'm going to add a 3-point modifier as their camping site is not the best. We roll a 9 and then add the 3. This is still below our threshold of 17, so there is no encounter in the night. However, not all the party are sleeping peacefully. Vandross is tossing and turning as his sleep is disturbed by dreams. In his dream, he sees a black hawk perched on a dead tree under a baleful sky. Its cries seem to be calling to him. As he approaches, the scene changes, and he finds himself in a large underground cavern. The ground is strewn with the bodies of many dead orcs, and in the centre there is a gleaming sword swathed in a grey mist, which again seems to be calling to him. He recognises it as his new sword Talon.
Come,
the blade whispers.
we must reclaim our home. Defend it from intruders.
Yes, whispers Vandross in reply. I must reclaim my family home. He reaches out to take the sword. The scene changes again. Now he recognises his ancestral home of the village of Thundertree. The place is a ruin, and an ominous purple mist cloaks the crumbling buildings. There are strangled cries and unnatural whispers all around him. He raises his hand and sees he is now holding the sword. The grey mist swirls around it, and it whispers,
Together.
Yes, whispers Vandross, I will reclaim my rightful home. And here we will leave our adventurers for now. What is this agreement that Vandross has made with the magical sword Talon? How will the party fare as they approach and enter Cragmaw Castle? Tune in again next time to find out where this story goes.